Because you see, the unconscious is real. Yeah. It is an entity. It is an entity. It is an entity.
It was the presence of the entities that shattered the person who I was, because I was a scientific rationalist, a reductionist. I had no room for elves in my cosmology. And here they were, hundreds of them. But this is the question that must be asked. Who's in there? Who is this? There are at least three possibilities. And I'm not sure which is the most conservative. The first possibility is that we don't understand how the world is constructed, and that, in fact, there is a parallel universe running alongside of ours, full of elves who use a language to make objects. And then why you can burst through to this place on this one drug, then that raises, each explanation raises a lot of questions. Then the other possibility is, this is the Jungian possibility. And Jung, I can't remember which one it was, but one of the later things, he talks about these elves because of the Cabiri. The Cabiri are the alchemical children that appear in Act 3 of Faust, that Jung spent a lot of time on these alchemical Kabiri and the question of the homunculus. And he says at one place, I think he says, he describes them as autonomous psychic elements that have escaped from the control of the ego. This is a weird way to go about it. I mean, it's probably an accurate description, but how much does it tell us, It means that the psyche is to be visualized as a half-gallon of mercury, and when we throw it on the floor, the mercury balls up and spreads everywhere, and each ball of mercury you look at, by gad, it has a little face looking back at you. That's because Mercury is a mirrored surface. You're looking at your own psyche shattered into thousands of pieces around you. Another possibility, and one I leaned toward for years, and I still lean toward, because I've noticed the radical nature of your explanation diminishes with the distance since the last time you smoked DMT. The longer it's been, the more likely you are to have some humdrum notion that you can pour it into. So the humdrum notion that I settled on was, well, clearly these are just extraterrestrials. They don't come in silver ships demanding to be taken to the National Defense Agency. This is how they come. Why they come this way, who knows? They're coming through mind. Mind is the medium in which they travel. Where do they come from? Who knows? Can it even be located in the Newtonian space-time matrix? I mean, what do you want here? A star catalog number? Would that satisfy you? And then finally, and I think I've exceeded my number of possible explanations, and then finally the explanation, which is my current favorite, it's a little disturbing, and I haven't quite figured out what to do with it, but I have a sense we're on the right track here. The reason the DMT space feels so peculiar, both alien and excruciatingly familiar, is because these things in this other place represent what I call an ecology of souls. This place is the one place you never thought you were going to make a visit to and come back to chat it around the coffee maker. They're dead. That's who these things are. This is the realm of the dead. Well, I have to confess, in all of my psychedelic voyaging and idea mongering and all of that, I never was able to go that far, to reach that far in my imagination. It sort of had to be presented to me. But if you go to shamans worldwide and talk to them about their spirit helpers and say, what's the deal with this? Who are these things? They say, well, these are the ancestors. Didn't you know? These are the ancestors. It's perfectly cut and dried and normal. Jung was always so concerned that people say it's only psychological. It's only the psyche. I've got news for you. It may only be the psyche, but the psyche is all there is.
If you think of the fairy tale figure of the thumbling, is the dwarf of the fingers and has mainly to do with creativity, with the creative fantasy. The thumbling or the thumb is also the trickster. It is a spirit which plays tricks to the dominating bourgeois world and enjoys its freedom. All this side, the trickster side, the mischievous side, and the creative side of his personality has been completely confined and should now be liberated.
When Jung describes a woman locked in the animus, he says that she's possessed. She's animus possessed. That word is usually connected to religion, to witchcraft, or to primitive tribes.
There you have wonderful states of possession when, for instance, certain mediums go into trance and then they are possessed by a certain godhead. You have that, for instance, in Hawaii. Certain people go into trance and then certain godheads, female or male, enter them. And then they speak in a changed voice and the god speaks through them. Then they are possessed by a god. They call that they become the horse and the god becomes their rider. And I have a book on Hawaiian states of possession, and there is a photograph of 3 different male mediums incorporating the same god, Legbe. And they make exactly the same movement, though they are as human beings different. When they are possessed, they behave all in the same way. They are possessed, we would say, by an archetypal figure, by a collective figure. Now, in waking up, these mediums sometimes don't remember what they have said in the trance state. They have been entered by a spirit. Now, this is an extreme of something which is normal in every human being. The whole day long, our field of consciousness is entered by autonomous complexes. We constantly switch moods, and therefore, if we watch ourselves, we are many people, and they suddenly enter you, and that's a kind. And if you know it, you can steer it. You can, for instance, keep them out of your system or play them and put them aside again. But if you are possessed, it means they enter you involuntarily and you act it out involuntarily. And so that is one of the aims of psychotherapy, to help people to get on with their inner family of souls without getting possessed by them, and to keep a constant identity of themselves.
This is a question that's puzzled me for a long time. If dreams come from a source that is trying to guide our lives and is so interested in giving us direction, then why does the dream maker talk in Chinese?
That has puzzled me too, and I have reproachfully asked him, why does this goddamn unconscious talk in such a Chinese and difficult language? Why doesn't it tell us clearly right out what's the matter? Now, Jung's answer was, it obviously can't. It doesn't speak the language of the rational mind. The rational mind is one thing, and the dreams are the voice of the instinctual animal nature in man, or even ultimately. That's a very daring hypothesis, but I'll venture it. The collective unconscious and anorganic atomic matter is probably 2 aspects of the same thing. So the dreams are ultimately the voice of cosmic matter in us.
But to me, the unconscious then was already a matrix, a sort of basis of consciousness of a creative nature, namely capable of autonomous acts. autonomous intrusions into consciousness.
Yes.
In other words, I took the existence of the unconscious for a real fact, or for a real autonomous factor capable of independent action.
Yes.
And now that was a problem, a psychological problem of the very first order. And that made me think and furiously, because the whole of philosophy nowadays has not yet recognized this fact, that we have a counter-actor in our unconscious, that in our psyche there are two. Consciousness is one factor, and there is another factor, equally important, that is the unconscious, that can interfere with consciousness anytime it pleases. And of course, I say to myself now, this is very uncomfortable, because I think I am the only master in my house, but I must admit that there is another somebody in that house that can play tricks. And in such a case, I say, well, it's perfect, plain to you, it's nonsense what you believe. Now, why are you forced to believe such nonsense? What is the power that makes you think such a thing against your free will? You know it is nonsense, and why should you think it? Or what for should you think it?
Yes. Yes.
Well, and what is that power that makes you think such a thing? It's like a possession, you know.
Yes.
Exactly. It's like a demon in him that makes him think like that, in spite of the fact that he doesn't want it.
Now, these things that he represses will become part of the personal unconscious. Part of the personal unconscious.
Yes. He doesn't repress consciously always.
Yes.
These things disappear simply. They disappear, and Freud explains that by an act of repression.
Yes.
But you can prove that these things never have been conscious before.
Yes. Yes.
They simply don't appear.
I see.
And you don't know why they don't appear. Of course, après le coup, you can say, when it comes up, you can say, that is why they didn't appear, because they were disagreeable or incompatible with his conscious views, with his conscious attitude.
I see.
But that is afterwards. You couldn't predict it.
Yes.
So you see, these things that have an emotional tone,
yes,
they are partially autonomous.
Yes.
So that they can appear, or the contrary, they do not appear.
Yes.
They can disappear at wish, not of the subject, but of their own.
Yes.
Or you also can repress them. Certain complexes are quite certainly not repressed. They simply won't appear.
Yes.
Because you see, the unconscious is real.
Yes.
It is an entity. It works by itself. It is autonomous.